In the heart of New York City, a billionaire lay on his deathbed, hated for his ruthless past and his racist heart. Yet, in his final moments, he made one shocking request, a wish that would fall into the hands of an ordinary nurse. What happened next would leave an entire city speechless. But before we dive deep into this unforgettable story, tell me where in the world you're watching from right now. I love reading your comments. And don't forget, like this video and subscribe to the channel, so you never miss tomorrow's powerful story waiting just for you. Sirens whined across Midtown as snow whispered over dark storefronts. Amara Okoye jogged through slush, breath fogging, messenger bag thumping her hip. She cut down West 58th and reached the Windsor Tower's service door, where a sleepy guard scanned her badge and pointed at the private elevator. "Penthouse," he said. "They're waiting." The cabling hummed as she rose. When the doors parted, a narrow hallway spilled into a glass-walled suite glimmering over Central Park. A woman in a charcoal suit stepped forward with the calm of someone who never hurried. "Miss Okoye, I'm Vivian Poole, counsel to Mr. Alistair Crane. Thank you for coming." Alistair Crane, the name carried granite weight, developer, donor, headline maker, and the subject of quotes Amara had heard since nursing school, phrases that cut, phrases that excluded. The man on the bed looked smaller than his legend, jaw slack, skin pale, robe navy, eyes bright as chips of ice. Machines murmured like an orchestra tuning beneath a stern painting of the city he had shaped. "You're the nurse who doesn't flatter," he rasped. "I'm the nurse who tells you the next step," Amara replied, checking lines, warming his hands, raising the headboard. "Breathe slow, pain level. Manageable," he said. "My regrets aren't." Vivian unlocked a lacquered box and lifted out a battered spiral notebook with a subway token glued to its cover. Crane lifted a hand toward it but didn't touch. "My first 5 years," he said. "Boiler rooms, coaxing superintendents, cheap coffee, names and promises scribbled like receipts." He nodded toward the window. "I forgot names, kept the buildings. I want to correct one thing while I still sign my own documents." "Why me?" Amara asked. "If I send a lawyer, it smells like PR," Crane said. "If I send a nurse who owes me nothing, maybe truth arrives." Vivian produced an envelope thick with papers. "Transfer orders and an affidavit," she said. "There's a phone number. He insists the call be made from the recipient's place." Crane coughed. The sound edged with metal. "Red Hook, Van Brunt Street. Ruthie Delgado. She ran a bakery. I promised a fixed lease renewal after my first project paid out, then let a broker triple her rent. She wrote letters. I didn't answer. Find her. Deliver restitution. Bring back her answer." Griff, head of security, materialized like a shadow in a burgundy sweater. He handed Amara a black parka. "Snow's picking up," he said. "Red Hook gets quiet early. Keep your phone visible when talking to strangers. It signals you have choices." Amara tucked the envelope beside her stethoscope, gave Crane a level look and nodded. She had faced crowded ER nights and the slow violence of unpaid bills. This felt stranger, but not harder. "I'll go now," she said. Outside, plows scraped sparks from curbs while taxis hissed like kettles. She flagged one, said Van Brunt, Red Hook, and let the city slide by. Bridges like ribs, warehouses like sleeping ships, a river gleaming pewter under a new pale day. The driver kept the radio low. A weather voice promised flurries, then more. Red Hook smelled like salt and cold dough. The cab left her on a block of squat brick buildings painted in stubborn colors. A gate wore sugar-powdered snow. Hand-lettered glass read, "Ruthie's Pan." A crooked closed sign swung. She knocked. After a silence, footsteps approached. The door opened a few inches. A small woman peered out, hair gray and braided tight, flour dusting her cheek, eyes bright but guarded. "We're not open," she said. "I'm here about a promise," Amara said. The door paused against its chain. "Whose promise?" "Alistair Crane." The name hardened the air. The chain slid. 5 minutes, the woman said. "Then I start coquito dough, and nothing stops that." Warmth and vanilla rolled out. Inside, framed photos gathered like a crowd. Kids with churros, a teenager hoisting a trophy, a clipping titled "Local Bakery Fights Rent Hike." The woman set 2 blue cups on a flour-dusted table. "I'm Ruthie," she said. "Say what you came to say." Amara placed the envelope down, so the legal weight wouldn't feel like a weapon. "Mr. Crane is dying," she said, plain. "He asked me to bring restitution for the rent hikes and a signed confession of breach. He wants me to call a number from your shop if you accept." Ruthie looked at the envelope as though it might bite. "A signature won't unbake heartbreak," she said. "My mother died believing we failed her. My son joined the Marines and sent paychecks to keep these lights on. Your man moved a pen, we moved mountains. I can't contest your history," Amara said. A mixer thumped in the back like a steady heart. Snow tapped the window. Ruthie opened the envelope, flipped through pages, and found her name spelled correctly, her address listed like a scar. Figures sat there, exact and unemotional. Interest had been compounded. Dates were precise. Apology language was plain. "Why do you care?" Ruthie asked without looking up. "Because I watched a landlord carry my father's dignity away in a cardboard box," Amara said. "Because I prefer rooms where truth is heavier than money." Ruthie looked up, measuring the nurse who had brought a billionaire's pen into her sanctuary. He could have come himself. "He tried to stand," Amara said quietly. "His body wouldn't cooperate." The oven beeped. Ruthie flicked a switch. Heat bloomed. She stared at the affidavit, then at the photos, then at Amara. "Call him," she said. "He'll hear my answer with the smell of cinnamon in the line." Amara dialed. Vivian answered, then passed the phone. Crane's voice arrived thinner, threaded with machine hum. "Ruthie Delgado," he said like he was reading weather. "I failed you. You displaced me," Ruthie replied, voice level. "You turned Sunday morning into panic. You made my son send me his hazard pay." Silence stretched, heavy and brave. The mixer stopped as if listening. The line held the sound of breathing, machines clicking, ovens humming, snow whispering against glass. "I failed you," Alistair Crane repeated, voice thin but deliberate. Ruthie didn't raise her tone. "You signed a paper that told a broker to raise my rent until it strangled us. You watched headlines praise your skyline while I boxed up my mother's apron. You didn't fail. You acted." On the far end, a cough scraped. Amara watched Ruthie's hands, knuckles neat, nails short, flour lodged in the creases like chalk. Vivian's voice slipped back into the call, measured, precise. "Mrs. Delgado, the affidavit acknowledges liability and sets restitution with compounded interest. It restores your lease at pre-hike rates for 20 years. If you wish, we can also set up a community baking grant in your name." "Nothing with my name until I test the weight of the apology," Ruthie said. "Bring a notary here. I sign here. No penthouse theatrics. And that grant, if it exists, feeds real ovens, not ribbon cuttings." "It exists," Vivian said. "I'll dispatch a notary now." Crane came back, words wrapped around breath. "There is more than Ruthie Delgado," he said. "That notebook Van Brunt is the first page I ever ignored. There are others I misremembered. Amara, do you still have it?" Amara glanced at the spiral with the subway token on the cover. "I do." "Open to the second tab," he said. "Chinatown, Bayard Street. Mr. Yao." Then Mott. Then a number scratched on the inside back cover for a teacher in East Harlem. "The dying wish is not one envelope. It is momentum. Keep moving while I can still sign." Vivian murmured something off phone, then returned. "Security will accompany Ms. Okoye." Ruthie leaned toward the receiver, eyes like lit coals. "No suits here," she said. "No cameras. You send a notary and wire the money. Then I decide if your voice deserves peace." The call ended with a quiet click that felt like a gavel. Ruthie exhaled and looked at Amara. "You hungry?" "Always," Amara said, surprised to hear her own voice steady. "Then sit," Ruthie replied, tying an apron around her waist with a tug that meant business. "We don't make decisions on an empty stomach." She turned, grabbed a mixing bowl, cracked eggs with one hand. Batter folded, cinnamon lifted, butter melted into joy. Motion filled the room like a rehearsal. Scrape, stir, slide, check. The oven door opened, heat rushed out, and a tray of pan de Mallorca rose like soft suns. They ate at the small table, rolls steaming, butter sighing. Ruthie watched Amara more than she ate. "You one of his people?" she asked finally. "I'm a nurse with a mortgage and a father who used to fix watches until a landlord raised the rent and nobody came to a second-floor hallway to buy time," Amara said. "I'm here because he asked for truth and movement." Ruthie nodded once. "Good, movement. We endured 100 meetings where men said they were working on it while nothing moved." A sharp rap rattled the door. Both women looked up. The closed sign shivered. Ruthie wiped her hands, approached. "We're not open," she called. A man's voice, smooth and businesslike, came through. "Miss Delgado, Marcus Vale from Crane Strategic. I'm here to expedite paperwork and relieve you from any distress. We can finalize matters at our office. Warm room, hot coffee, professional witnesses." Ruthie's lips went tight. She flicked the chain into place and cracked the door 2 inches. The man outside wore a black coat that swallowed light, jaw shaved too closely, smile arranged by a stylist. Behind him, a second figure hovered near a dark SUV, eyes hidden behind a baseball cap pulled low. Amara stepped nearer, pocketing her phone so its camera lens faced outward. "We're fine," she said. "A notary's on the way." Marcus's smile didn't change. "Notaries take time. Weather worsens. Our office is 5 minutes across the bridge, and your comfort means—" "My comfort is flour," heat, and decisions made in my house, Ruthie said. She started to close the door. The second figure coughed a wordless sound. The SUV's engine idled higher, exhaust curling. Marcus held up gloved hands. At least allow me to ensure you're protected. News of Mr. Crane's condition invites opportunists, like you, Ruthie said, and shut the door gently in his face. A beat, then knuckles again, harder. You may be interfering with a lawful corporate process, Marcus called, a shred of annoyance leaking into the script. Call a judge, Ruthie said, and turned her back. They both waited. Silence held. Tires hissed, then receded. Amara let out a breath she hadn't noticed holding. Friends of the Empire, she murmured. Ruthie gestured at a back door. Park behind the alley. 2 cars are too many for this block. She tipped her chin toward the front. They'll circle back. Amara nodded. She texted Vivian. Marcus Vale showed. Staying on site until notary arrives. Installing her own small rituals, Amara did a quick scan. Exits clear, fire extinguisher charged, first aid kit where it should be. Routine calmed her. Snow thickened, muting the street until footsteps sounded like secrets. The clock ticked toward 3. A tall woman in a green knit hat pushed in with shaking hands and a cold red nose. Notary, she said, panting. Traffic made a parking lot of Hamilton Avenue. She slid off her gloves and reached for the affidavit. Where do you want to sit? At the table, Ruthie said. Where consent fits a chair. They set up. The notary checked IDs, clicked pens, unfolded stamps. Ruthie read every line aloud the way some people pray. Steady, attentive, unwilling to skip a clause. Restitution will be wired within 24 hours of countersignature, she read. Lease restoration immediate upon signature. She paused at apology, then continued. Community fund established with independent oversight appointed by recipients. Good. I'm not letting a boardroom name cakes after me while kids' ovens sit cold. She signed with a stroke that remembered her mother's flowery script. The notary sealed the page with a satisfying thunk. Done here, she said, packing her kit. You need witnesses? Ruthie looked at the wall of photographs. They've been watching for years, she said. They'll do. Another knock, softer this time. Amara and Ruthie exchanged a glance. Amara answered, shoulder angled to block the view. A teenage boy stood there, wearing a puffy jacket 2 sizes too small, breath quick, eyes darting like sparrows. He held a shoebox. Miss Delgado, he said. Guy on the corner said you needed this. He told me $50 if I brought it in and left. What guy? Amara asked. The boy jerked his chin toward the street. Dark SUV. He said I shouldn't look inside. Ruthie took the box carefully, set it on the counter. She lifted the lid, expecting papers. Inside lay a brick wrapped in brown paper and a note scrawled in black marker. Walk away. Amara's chest tightened. She scanned the street through the pane, taillights fading. She looked at the boy. You okay? He shrugged, bravado thin. I like $50. I don't like weird. Amara pulled a 20 from her pocket. Take this to go home a different way, she said. And don't carry anyone's box again without opening it first. He took the bill, uncertain whether to smile, then fled into the snow. Ruthie stared at the note, jaw set. They sent a brick to a bakery, she said, uncreative. Also a message, Amara replied. They want me rattled enough to stop moving. Will you stop? Amara thought of the notebook's second tab, the name Yao, the subway token on the cover like a map of beginnings. No. The back door banged suddenly. All 3 women turned. A smell of gas slipped in, thin but present. The notary's eyes widened. Is that? Amara moved without thinking. Ruthie, kill oven and burners. I'll check the basement. She grabbed the flashlight hanging by the pantry, pushed through a narrow stairwell, and descended into cool concrete air. Pipes crisscrossed. The hiss was slight, like a whispering kettle. She traced it to a joint near the meter, saw the tiniest shimmer of a leak, like a transparent string quivering. Someone had loosened a coupling. Tools lay stacked on a box that didn't belong. She twisted the main shutoff, felt the valve resist, then yield. The hiss quieted. Upstairs, metal clinked as Ruthie spun knobs. The notary called 911. Amara took out her phone, snapped photos, valve, tools, angle of pipes, evidence for anyone requiring proof that danger had worn work gloves. She climbed back up. Leaks cut, she said. We'll need Con Edison. Ruthie stood with arms crossed, chin up, eyes blazing at a theater of empty chairs. They bring bricks. They fiddle with pipes. They forget bakers know heat and timing better than anyone. Sirens grew out of the snowfall. An FDNY engine nosed onto the block, lights pulsing against the drifts. Firefighters took over with efficiency. Meters, wrenches, tape. A sergeant took statements. The notary, hands still shaking, stamped one more page verifying her presence during a tampering incident. A firefighter with soot on his cheek said, "You did right shutting it," and tipped his helmet to Ruthie like she had wrestled a dragon. Amara's phone buzzed. "Vivian, we saw a security alert in Red Hook. Are you safe? Also, Mr. Crane's vitals slipping. He wants to know, did Ruthie sign?" Amara typed, "Yes." Then they sent a threat. "Gas line tampered. FDNY here. Start wire when countersign arrives. Moving to Chinatown next." Ruthie wrapped the signed pages in parchment paper as if they were delicate pastries and slipped them into a plastic sleeve. "Take copies," she said. "You promised movement. Move. Come with me," Amara said, impulse rising. "Close early. Let a neighbor watch your place while the gas line gets fixed." Ruthie looked at her ovens, at the photographs, at the brick with its petty violence. "I'll lock up," she said. "I'll reopen when heat speaks again." They hugged without drama. Flour dusted Amara's coat. The notary left with the firefighters, a convoy of ordinary courage. Snow had become small, hard pellets. The city looked both fragile and indestructible. Amara tucked the notebook back into her bag, zipped her parka, and stepped into the night. At the corner, a black SUV idled, then rolled away when she looked straight at it, pausing at the stop sign like a gentleman. She headed for the nearest bus stop. Bridges glowed faintly, and the river breathed cold. Chinatown waited across the water, a second page in a spiral that had slept too long. She checked her shoelaces, adjusted her bag strap, and started moving. Snow lashed the Brooklyn Bridge, stinging Amara's cheeks as she trudged off the bus and pulled her hood tighter. Chinatown's lanterns glowed faint red against the storm, shop fronts leaking steam and spice into the night. She checked the notebook, second tab. "Mr. Yao Bayard Street, watch repair." The scrawl was crooked as if written in haste decades earlier. She crossed into Bayard, where neon signs buzzed faintly, and the scent of roast duck lingered. A narrow shop with a fogged glass door read, "Yao's Watches." A small bell jingled when she pushed in. The store smelled of oil and brass. Rows of clocks ticked like 100 uneven hearts. Behind the counter sat a man in his 70s, spectacles low on his nose, polishing a cracked wristwatch. His hands were steady, his posture proud. He looked up at Amara without surprise, as though expecting her. "You are late," he said. "I don't even know the appointment," Amara replied, removing her gloves. "But I'm here for Mr. Crane." The name made his polishing cloth pause. Mr. Yao set the watch down gently. "Alistair Crane," he said slowly. "The man who bought my building. Promised repairs. Promised fair rent. Then doubled, tripled. My wife packed boxes until her back bent. We moved upstairs above steam pipes, then out. He built glass. I lost glass." He tapped the lenses of his spectacles. "You see?" Amara placed the notebook on the counter, open to his name. "He remembers. He wants restitution." She offered the second envelope, smaller but equally heavy. "Transfer orders, affidavit, confession." Mr. Yao didn't touch it. He studied Amara. "And you? Why you?" "Because I am not his lawyer. I'm his nurse," she said. "And because I know how it feels when someone folds your family into an eviction notice." Yao leaned back, folding his arms. "Truth in your voice. That is rare currency." He finally picked up the envelope, turned it over, slid out the papers. His eyes flicked across dates, addresses, dollar amounts, and the apology text. "He signs this." "He signs from his bed," Amara said. Yao's lips pressed together. "Apologies are fragile, easy to tear." He tapped the counter. "But money buys back nothing. Still, I accept. Not for me. I am old, but my granddaughter. She studies architecture. She dreams to build without breaking others. This may fund her books." Amara smiled faintly. "Then it moves forward." A sudden crash interrupted them. The shop door banged open, wind whipping snow inside. 3 figures entered, heavy coats, scarves pulled high. One kicked the door shut, bell jangling madly. Another pulled a cap low. The leader spoke, voice muffled. "We'll take the papers." Yao straightened, unshaken. "This is my shop." The leader stepped forward, hands sliding inside his coat as if reaching for steel. Amara's heart kicked hard. She shifted her bag, slipping her phone into her palm. "This isn't your fight," the man told her. "You walk away now, nobody touches you." "Funny," Amara said, voice level. "That's what someone told me in Red Hook. They still sent a brick." The man paused. "Then you should have learned your lesson." Before he could lunge, Yao snapped his fingers. From the back room, a tall young woman strode out, hair tied, jacket sleeves rolled, holding a baseball bat scuffed with use. "Grandpa?" she asked, eyes narrow. "Protect time," Yao said simply. The thugs hesitated, thrown off by the sudden appearance. Amara used the moment to edge toward the light switch, flicking it down. Darkness fell except for the glow of clock faces. Ticks filled the silence. The bat swung, connecting with a counter's edge. A crack echoed like thunder. "Next one finds bone," the granddaughter warned. The men exchanged glances. The leader hissed, "This isn't done," and jerked his chin. They backed out, snow swirling around them, boots pounding the street. Amara exhaled shakily. "They're watching every move." "Yes," Yao said, flicking the lights back on. "Fear means you carry something valuable." He pressed the envelope back into Amara's hands. "Take copies, I'll keep mine, but make sure the countersign arrives. Otherwise, this is just paper." Amara nodded. "I'll return proof." Yao handed her the polished watch he had worked on earlier. "Take this, my shop's mark. When you give him the answer, hold it up. He'll know time didn't forgive him." Amara pocketed the watch carefully. Snow still blew sideways outside. She pulled her hood up, ready to push forward, when her phone buzzed again. Vivian's message: "Crane is weak, time short. Next name, East Harlem, school teacher. Can you make it tonight?" Amara stared at the screen, then at Yao and his granddaughter. "He's running out of time," she murmured. Yao placed a hand over hers. "Then don't waste it." She stepped back into the storm, notebook heavy, watch ticking in her pocket, Chinatown glowing behind her. Ahead, Harlem waited. A third promise, another page, more danger. Snow thinned into icy drizzle as Amara's cab crept uptown. Harlem loomed with murals, corner bodegas and brownstones glowing with yellow lamps. The notebook's third tab carried only a scribbled line: "Ms. Evelyn Harris, PS 1 4th Street." The scrawl looked rushed, almost guilty. The cab stopped before a low brick school building, windows dark except for one lit room on the second floor. Amara climbed the stone steps, breath clouding. The front door was locked, but a janitor in a knit cap cracked it open when she knocked. "School's closed," he said. "I'm here for Ms. Harris," Amara replied, showing her hospital badge. The man studied her, then shrugged. "She's upstairs, room 204. Don't spook her, she stays late grading." Amara thanked him and followed the dim hallway, lockers clanging faintly as pipes knocked with heat. She found the classroom, door ajar. Inside, a woman in her 70s sat at a desk stacked with papers. Her hair was silver, her glasses smudged, her sweater patched but neat. She looked up with sharp, weary eyes. "Who are you?" she asked. "My name is Amara. I'm a nurse. I'm here on behalf of Alistair Crane." Evelyn Harris's lips twisted. "That man ruined my students' block. Promised scholarships, gave bulldozers. They displaced 3 families and called it progress." Amara stepped closer, placing the notebook and envelope on the desk. "He remembers. He's dying. He wants you to have restitution and an apology." Harris laughed without humor. "Apology? My boys joined gangs when their families scattered. My girls worked 2 jobs before graduation. His apology comes 50 years late." She flipped open the envelope anyway. Her eyes scanned the affidavit, the transfer amounts, money for the school, endowment for arts, renewal of a memorial program. She set it down carefully, hands trembling. "He signs this?" "Yes," Amara said, "but he wants your answer." Before Harris could reply, glass shattered. A brick hurtled through the window, scattering papers and chalk dust. Amara shielded her face, heart pounding. Shouts echoed from outside. "Walk away, nurse." Tires squealed as a van sped off. The janitor burst in, eyes wide. "What the hell?" "Stay back," Amara warned, scanning the street through the broken pane. Dark figures vanished into an alley. The threats were escalating. Harris rose, voice steady despite her shaking hands. "You tell him this. He doesn't need my forgiveness. He needs to leave something good behind. I'll sign, but not for him, for the kids still here." She scrawled her name across the page, ink blotting. "Take this back. Tell him the block remembers." Amara gathered the signed affidavit, shards crunching beneath her boots. The janitor muttered, "Cops won't stop those guys. Whoever's tailing you has deep pockets." "I know," Amara said grimly. She tucked the envelope into her bag, pressed the notebook against her chest. "But I won't stop either." Her phone buzzed again. Vivian's text. "Mr. Crane fading fast. He insists you finish. Final name, Bronx, Tremont Avenue, apartment 6D. Hurry." Amara looked at Harris, who was sweeping glass with a steady rhythm, her sweater sleeves rolled up like armor. "Stay safe," Amara said softly. "Safe is a myth," Harris replied. "But dignity is real. Don't lose it." Amara descended the stairs, nerves taut. The janitor locked the doors behind her. On the street, a black SUV idled again, its tinted windows glinting. She pulled her hood tight, crossed to the subway, and slipped into the tunnels. The train screeched north, sparks flashing in the darkness. She clutched the notebook, feeling the subway token on the cover press into her palm like a compass. Each stop pulled her closer to the Bronx, closer to the last promise, closer to the end of Crane's time. When she surfaced at Tremont, rain slicked the sidewalks. The buildings leaned tiredly against each other, Graffiti streaked across their ribs. She checked the address, 1220 Tremont Avenue, apartment 6D. The lobby smelled of bleach and old smoke. She climbed the stairwell, bag tight against her side. On the 6th floor, a door stood half open, faint light spilling out. She approached cautiously. Inside, a frail woman sat in a recliner, oxygen tank humming at her side. Her eyes were closed, but her lips moved faintly, as though whispering prayers. A younger man in a work jacket adjusted the tank, then noticed Amara. "You lost?" he asked. "I'm here for Mrs. Clarissa Boone," Amara said softly. The man stiffened. "Who sent you?" "Alistair Crane." The name made him curse under his breath. "He's got nerve." But Mrs. Boone's eyes opened, clouded yet sharp. "Let her in," she rasped. "If he remembers me, then let's hear it." Amara stepped inside, heart pounding. This was the final name in the notebook, the final truth. The last thread holding a dying billionaire to the city he had scarred. "Would you like me to move on to—" Amara entered apartment 6D, the air heavy with medicine and mothballs. Mrs. Clarissa Boone sat in her recliner, oxygen tube curling like a pale vine to the tank beside her. Her frame was fragile, but her gaze burned sharp. "You say Alistair Crane sent you?" she asked, voice crackled but strong. "Yes," Amara said, easing the notebook and envelope from her bag. "He wanted to make things right before it's too late." Mrs. Boone gave a bitter chuckle. "Too late came years ago. He stole our block for pennies, promised decent housing, left us with cracked pipes and roaches. My husband died chasing him in court. I raised my son on a nurse's aide salary while Crane's towers cut the sky." She gestured at the younger man. "This is my son, Darnell. He grew up with eviction notices for lullabies." Darnell's jaw clenched as he crossed his arms. "And now he remembers. Why? To wash his conscience before the dirt takes him." Amara didn't flinch. She laid the envelope on the table. "He's signed restitution. He's admitted fault. He wants you to decide if his words matter." Clarissa Boone reached with trembling hands. Darnell steadied her arm as she unfolded the papers. She read each line slowly, oxygen hissing like a metronome. Tears welled, but she held them back. Finally, she looked at Amara. "He signed this himself." "Yes," Amara said. She slipped Yao's watch from her pocket, ticking steadily. "And he wanted me to show you this, to prove that time never forgot." The old woman stared at the watch, her lips quivered. "That was my father's," she whispered. "It went missing the year Crane took the building. How in God's name?" Amara's pulse jumped. The pieces clicked. The watch tied Yao, Boone, and Crane together. This wasn't just restitution, it was revelation. Darnell leaned forward, eyes wide. "You're saying Crane had this all along?" "No," Amara said carefully. "Yao kept it safe. He asked me to deliver it. Crane may not know it survived." Clarissa pressed the watch to her chest. "Then maybe not all was stolen." At that moment, Amara's phone buzzed. Vivian's voice came urgent through the speaker. "Amara, Crane's condition is critical. He wants to hear Mrs. Boone's answer. Now." Amara held the phone out. "He's listening." Clarissa Boone inhaled shallowly, then spoke into the receiver. "Alistair Crane, you ruined lives. You buried families under rent hikes and bulldozers. I will not forgive you. That belongs to God, but I will take what you've left, not for me, but for my son, and his children, and the neighbors who still fight to keep a roof. You hear me? Your name won't be remembered for towers, it will be remembered for debts repaid at the last minute." On the line there was only breathing, then Crane's voice rasped, broken, near gone. "Thank you, for the truth." Vivian came back, quieter. "He's gone." The room fell silent. The oxygen tank hissed. Rain tapped against the fire escape. Clarissa Boone closed her eyes, still clutching the watch. Amara lowered the phone, heart thudding. It was over. The notebook was finished. The dying wish had been fulfilled, but she felt no triumph, only the weight of a city's scars. Darnell looked at her with a mix of anger and awe. "You risked your life for a racist billionaire's last act." "Why?" Amara zipped her bag slowly. "Because truth matters more than hate. Because if a man with power finally admits his wrongs, the record changes. And because people like your mother deserve to be heard while there's still someone listening." Clarissa whispered, "Amen." Amara left the apartment, the Bronx night raw and restless around her. She descended the stairwell, past peeling paint and graffiti that told its own history. On the street, the black SUV still lingered. The window rolled down. Marcus Vale's smile gleamed in the dark. "Quite a journey," he said. "3 boroughs, 4 signatures, 1 deathbed. You've made history, Ms. Okoye, but history doesn't always pay well. Hand over the notebook. We'll compensate you, handsomely." Amara's grip tightened on her bag. Behind her, Darnell stepped out, eyes flashing. Ruthie's brick, Yao's bat, Harris's broken window, all of it surged through Amara's mind. She shook her head. "No, Marcus," she said. "This notebook belongs to the city, not to Crane's heirs, not to his board, to the people he wronged." For the first time, Marcus's smile faltered. The SUV's engine growled, then roared. Tires screeched as it pulled away, vanishing into the rain. Amara stood in the street, soaked and exhausted, but steady. She pulled out her phone and dialed Vivian. The notebook will be archived, public. That was his real dying wish, whether he knew it or not. Vivian's pause was long. Then her voice came soft. "Then you've done more than any of us." The storm cleared by dawn. Amara walked back across the Harlem River, bag heavy with papers, heart heavy with truth. The city woke around her. Sirens, street vendors, school buses. Life moved on. She had fulfilled a dying wish, but the truth left everyone speechless. The most powerful man in New York had built an empire on broken promises, and in his last breath, it wasn't wealth, towers, or fame that mattered. It was the people he had forgotten.